Hello, we are back with Maria Dirina. She's key account group head of Yandex. And you just had a talk about sequential marketing,
yep.
and it's and the value of it in the digital world.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say it was very interesting. Some things I couldn't imagine even. So maybe you can just quickly summarize what was the main message you wanted to give to these marketing people and business leaders today?
I think my main message would be to say that within companies, especially within big brands, there is now a trend which I fully support. I think it's a great idea, where actually different departments and different sectors of the company start talking more to each other. So those guys who are doing search and display and video and maybe some special projects, special branding projects, they finally start talking together, and that's what should be happening, because only combining like a bunch of types of creatives together, you can now actually reach the user and the right type of user, because you have all the technologies I told about now available to find very specifically, very targeted your cluster of users. But then if you combine all these different visuals, you can surround a user very gently and very nicely by your brand, not push them into your product anymore like we used to do in the 90s or even in the beginning of 2000. Now you can basically surround the user with the history of your brand, you know, or the little story about your products, you know, which message you want to communicate, and you can make the user basically imagine him or herself being with your brand. So what if they buy these new shoes? How it's going to make me feel, you know, as a girl, you know, maybe I'm going to look more confident, maybe I'm going to feel younger, maybe else. You're basically now selling an image of a product, an idea behind it, not the shoes, a pair of shoes by itself.
Yeah. And what do you think, what would you say is the main difference between the traditional marketing and sequential marketing?
I think the delicacy of it. So basically in traditional marketing, we would normally start with search, then we would do some remarketing, and the remarketing, as you know, it could be quite aggressive. I mean, you look something up and then it follows you for 2-3 weeks around all the website on the internet, and you basically start hating this product more than actually still willing to buy it, because it's too much, you know, it's over the border quite often. And what sequential marketing is offering is that you just give the user, the potential buyer, hints on why he might be interested and why he should be interested, why it fits his personality. And that, of course, is much more gentle, but it's also much more efficient in your sales and in your messages, because you're targeting the right people, and you're also, you know, showing them, you're kind of creating the intent to buy them instead of just, you know, advertising into the face.
So yeah, and this is actually what marketers want to do. They want to have very specific targeting based on very specific rules. You mentioned people who have seen a billboard and touched or seen a video for a certain time.
Yeah.
And so this all requires kind of very sophisticated data sets, right? So.
The beauty is, so when I was talking about that technologically now, it's super easy to organize. It is actually super easy to organize. So when you're in Yandex interface, all the types of targetings I was mentioning during my speech, it's all done through one interface. So basically you just select a type of campaign which you want to run. Either it's going to be video or maybe this digital out-of-home campaign, and at the same time you're running a very traditional brand search campaigns. And then this is all automatically can be connected by one pixel, which is basically means just adding 1 point, 1 line in the settings of each of the 3 campaigns, and that's it. Yeah. After that, you see all this data combined for you, you know, and then you can go on and run follow-up campaigns or send a different message to all the users who have seen all the 3 of these products which you created. So it is literally super easy to create. You probably need like 7-8 minutes to create each of the 3 campaigns, and that's it, you're good to go.
Sounds awesome. You also mentioned the cookie matching.
Yeah.
which was in particular interest to me as well. So maybe you could just quickly explain how it works?
So look, cookie basically is usually, not usually, always bound to a device.
Yeah.
So you have probably your mobile phone, your laptop at home, maybe your PC at work, also maybe some type of a tablet. Then each of that has a unique cookie, right? So you will have 4 as per user. So what the search engine can do for you, and what we do, is that we match all this together. So before, basically, you would see different types of ads which were bound to a certain device, because you would do a bit adjustment for mobile, for example, and then you would see certain ads on your mobile phone, and they keep blinking there, and you saw something else on your desktop. Now, with the cookie matching, it's much more smart, because we know that the owner of this mobile phone and this desktop is the same person. So we're not going to show you, the thing twice, because we already know that you saw it. And that allows you also to understand you better, because, for example, I don't know, you make a certain inquiry about, I don't know, Greece, for example, right? And if you just made it from one device, for example, we would think that maybe you're planning a trip to Greece this summer. Whereas maybe in your desktop, you're actually exploring some myth about Greece, Greek culture, and then, with the cookie matching, we understand that you're not trying to book something in Greece. We're not going to show you ads of the hotel chains in Greece, because with the cooking matching basically allowed us to understand that you're into Greek culture, because that's what we saw, you doing on the other device which you have. And that basically makes our offerings also for you as from a search engine more customized and nicer in a way, because we don't push messages into you which you don't need. That allows you this gathering of information, which sometimes scares people, actually makes it makes the advertising, as Rudi from Google was mentioning, more customer oriented. So we offer you what actually we think you really need, not just blinking a lot of stuff on you.
One other thing was, which you mentioned, kind of a future, but it's actually already now, the chats on search engine result pages. What's the idea there, and how did you come to kind of think that, okay, that's what we need to introduce?
So the idea is basically just like other speakers were also talking about seamless and flawless experience when you're in an app. So now, for example, when you're trying to order something online, I mean, back to a pair of shoes, you're trying to order a pair of shoes. You, as a modern user, you expect that you put it in the cart, you go to the cart, you expect to do maximum 2-3 moves to finish your transaction. If it takes longer, if suddenly you need to input some more data or specify your address, it's not not found for you on the map when you just start typing the name of the street, you get disappointed, because then you have to do 15 actions instead of 2-3, which you expected. This is the same idea, because the modern user expects to have as few steps as possible in any transaction he or she is doing online. And that's what we as search engine are also doing. So in the normal conditions, you would go to the website. If you had really to ask a question to the customer support, like, hey, my printer is broken, do I take it to your brand store, or do I take it to a service? What do I do? Which one is the nearest to me? I'm too lazy to search, just tell me. But even to do that, to actually talk to a person from customer support, you would need to go to the website, probably go somewhere at the bottom of the website to find this link, to get in touch with the person, to wait, etc., etc. So what we say is that you know with which brand you want to talk. You typed it in your search query. So what we do is just we bring their customer support service to the front of our product, of SERP, of Yandex SERP, and you can start your interaction right there. I mean, it's win-win, because
so you just make it easier.
We make it super easy for the user, exactly.
That makes sense. And another interesting topic you covered was actually tracking impressions of billboards. And this is not like the old school impression tracking for billboards, but this is actually where you can identify individuals.
Yeah, and like also count real impressions, like those who have really seen the banner. Yeah.
But so this does also track the individuals, right? So how does it happen? Or
it still tracks the cookies, so we never track individuals because I mean that would not fall under GDPR. This would be super wrong. No, we still track only anonymous cookies. And then all we can do as a search engine, all we can do with the algorithm behind it is, as I said before, combine a few cookies together. So we saw that, you know, you were in front of that billboard standing, okay, that's one cookie of yours because maybe you had your mobile with you at that point, and so that's how, if you have the geo settings on, we realize that you were there. That's one cookie. And then as I said before, we see your desktop cookie or tablet cookie, and that's all the information we can get about you, but of course we cannot get more of information. That would be wrong.
How is Yandex coming up with these all these amazing products all the time? Something new, something unbelievable, like starting from search engine, similar story as Google, right?
And now we're into self-driving cars.
And now it's self-driving cars.
Yeah. You know, the beauty of working in Yandex, and that's why I love it so much, is that it's basically a company which never stops being entrepreneurial. So you saw on my desk that it's a public company now with more than 15 billion in capitalization at the stock exchange, and still you do feel like an entrepreneur when you're working in the company. And there's also this idea that I don't remember now for sure. I think once every couple of months there is this special occasion for the employees of the company where you can come up to a board of top managers of the company, like top managers, with any crazy idea. And so they listen to your line of employees who have crazy ideas. And then they basically, if they allow you to go to the second round, then you get some time off your job, also of your main position in the company, to develop this idea. Then if you go further, they actually give you resources, maybe even financial support, to maybe start a demo of your product, of the idea which you wanted to implement. And then if it looks super good, then you actually you're transferred to work completely on the project which you came up with. And this is fantastic, I think, because then you're doing your job, but you never fall in any kind of routine, because every time, if you have something bright in your head, you can go and suggest it, and people will give you a chance, you know, the top management of the company will give you a chance to implement it. This is fantastic, and that's basically how many of our experiments, which were back then called experiments, Yandex Taxi, Yandex Food, Yandex Health, they all started out of this, you know, out of simple offering of your little crazy idea.
That sounds amazing, but how do you actually incentivize people to do so? Like to think about these new ideas crazy, because sometimes it's hard actually for as a company manager or owner, you would want that, right? But it doesn't happen always, right? So you have to incentivize it somehow.
I think it's like, I'll probably welcome you to visit our offices in the headquarters office in Moscow, because when you just get there and you walk inside, you realize that it's simply humanly cozy there. And it's very open atmosphere. People just talk to each other, and it's normal to talk to the boss of your boss. You know, it won't be like, you know, breaking any kind of hierarchy or anything. People do talk a lot, and people are really open to each other. And there is the hierarchy, I would say, in the organization, in the company, is quite flat. I mean, for a company of almost 10,000 employees, it is quite flat, because you can go and basically talk to anyone you want to talk. So that makes it, you know, easier for people to go and express themselves.
That's fantastic. Maybe like the last really related question is about Alisa, the voice search. So, and this also is built upon learning, right? Machine learning, you said.
Yeah.
But, it studies all the time, right?
Exactly.
And it also learns about you, yourself. So, aren't you afraid that at some point Alisa will know you better than your best friend?
No, not really. I think people probably do think about the movie which I was mentioning in the slides, the movie Her. And then if you put it this way, yeah, it looks scary. But it's not actually, because I think basically any voice search, not only Alisa, is just the extension of the search engine. eventually. And yes, search engines are now becoming much more than just this search bar where you put your query, but this is just making things, as we said before, much simpler and much more convenient. And then it basically, if before we had, like in the 90s, the hands-free started appearing. I mean, people were afraid of hands-free, you know, back then. Now you don't even have to have this. You can just talk. You know, you say something and you will be understood, and it saves you some time. It actually it works on safety, because I was mentioning the example of people using Alisa extensively with their Yandex Maps and Yandex Navigator in the cars. It is safer when you think about it, because instead of, you know, being in the traffic and suddenly you decide to reroute and go somewhere else or pick up your kid, even when you're in traffic, I mean, normal driver would still hold the wheel and start typing something in the navigator. It's much better if you say, hey Alisa, let's go home instead, or hey Alisa, why don't we go to the school of my kid? And you know, it will do that for you, and you are not distracted from the road. So there are different aspects, but I think like that all in all, it just makes your life kind of smoother, easier, more convenient for you, and there is nothing scary about it.
Okay. And what do you think about the event? So about
it was. I'm amazed because it's my second time in Riga, and hopefully this time I actually get to see Riga itself and the downtown. But I'm amazed by the scale of the event. I'm really happy that so many digital professionals are here today. Amazing number of attendees. I was like, that's fantastic. I also like the organizational part. I think you made a fantastic experience for all speakers and all attendees. So congratulations, it's a fantastic event. I was really, really happy to attend, and I was super positively amazed.
Thank you so much for such a good feedback. One last question. Was there any favorite speech you heard today?
Well, I actually liked very much Mario's speech from Uber. He was talking, you know, very technical things, and sometimes maybe you could even see from the audience, it's like, you know, Stephen Hawking, he once said that every formula he puts in his books decreases the sales of the books by 10%. That's the same story. So sometimes, you know, being technical is a disadvantage for the audience, but I'm sure that those who were in the audience and who are interested in the topic, they could really appreciate, you know, the algorithm which Mario was sharing with us, because that could be useful for any type of business, not only for the top tech companies. So, and it's amazing that the resources which he was talking about are open reach resources, so anyone could make use of them. I think it's really worth sharing this.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming to Riga and telling your story.
Thank you so much.
And helping the other guys to learn from you.
Thank you
so much.